Yo, what is going on, guys? I'm coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be talking about the drugs that I will never try. So the first drug we're going to be talking about is salvia. Now, salvia is a very powerful deliriant, and deliriants are a bit of a weird class of drugs that are kind of off in their own little realm, and actually, most of the substances we're going to be talking about today are deliriants, which should go to show you why you shouldn't probably be fucking around with them in the first place. Now, salvia is a legal high in the same way that K2 is a legal high. And when I say that, I mean it used to be a legal high. I'm pretty sure they're both actually illegal to, possess, smoke, all of that now. But this was back in like the early to late 2000s era when the legal highs really started to hit the market, hit the head shops, and, there wasn't a lot of information available to anyone about, what was included with these substances or what they did to you. And a lot of the people that ended up using them were actually teenagers that, didn't have a drug dealer, they wanted to get high, but had no way to get any drugs, so they just, went through the head shop by, finding either an 18-year-old to purchase it for them or just finding a cool employee to, sell it to them underage. And salvia is incredibly intense at just mind-blowingly low doses. If you look up some videos of people smoking salvia, it is, actually mind-blowing how fast it hits and just the level of fucked up that you get to. Now, from reading all of the trip reports that I have, it is apparently very euphoric. When you first smoke it, you get a huge wave of euphoria that washes over you and you just generally feel good. But then it instantaneously puts you in just an incredible state of delirium. And when I say it puts you in a state of delirium, what I mean is it puts you in a state where you essentially are not connected with reality in any way, shape, or form. Most of the people that do this drug end up in a state where they either morph into the environment they're in, so they'll start to kind of morph into the room that they're sitting in, or they'll just straight up turn into an inanimate object in their mind. It's like, I don't know if you guys have heard the old adage, if you take LSD, you'll turn into a glass of orange juice and then you'll be scared of tipping yourself over. That is literally salvia. I've heard stories of people turning into refrigerators, turning into pylon cones, like the weirdest shit. And in their mind, their entire existence, everything they have experienced and everything they ever will experience is being this inanimate object. And that is such a fucking scary concept to wrap my head around. I can't even imagine being in that state of fucked up to where you can't even differentiate the fact that you're not even human or not anymore. That honestly scares the shit out of me, man. And I'm sure you guys have also heard the stories of, whatever drug will make you jump out of a window. And for most of the drugs, that's complete bullshit. That's not gonna happen. But I could genuinely see that happening on salvia. It would not surprise me if you told me somebody ripped a bong of some 50x salvia and then hurled themselves out of a window. Because it literally puts you in a state of mind to where you don't know what is reality and what isn't. You can't even distinguish the fact that you're human. It is such a scary concept to wrap your head around, and I definitely do not recommend fucking with this. If you want to learn a little bit more about this substance, I definitely recommend diving into some trip reports and, looking into that, but I would strictly keep it to that and not plan on trying it. And on to the next drug, we are going to be talking about datura. Now, datura is another deliriant, and this is pretty much known as the king of all deliriants. Essentially, if you want the most deliriant experience possible, get your hands on some datura, and that will do it for you. Now, datura comes in seeds that you eat, and I've heard of the flowers being smoked. I'm not sure if that actually is like a viable method or not, but I have heard of people doing that. And the thing with datura is that it's grown in very few areas of the world. I don't think it's like grown in the US or anything, but it's mostly grown in like the third world countries, down in Africa and, in that area of the world. And it's actually not even really considered a drug down there. Down there, they use it as almost like a kind of like numbing agent. It's like they turn it into, I think, like a paste that they spread on your skin. And it's like, a lot of people, use it for arthritis and stuff like that. It's just a genuine medicinal treatment that people use down there. But then you get over to the degenerates here in the States, and we're using it to get fucked up. Now, this is not by any means common substance. This is definitely the type of substance where if you are doing datura, it's because you've gone out of your way to get your hands on it and, you've done your research in it. I actually read this one trip report of this dude who did some datura and then literally lived an entire life in his head and, you know, was off in a completely different country doing other shit with this make-believe family he had created in his mind. And then when he came back, he was in such a state of shock because he did not know what just fucking happened to him. And as far as he knew, he was a completely different person off living this entirely different life in a completely different area of the world. And it also apparently completely destroys your ego and sense of self-being, which is a bit weird to wrap your head around, but if you read the trip reports on it, it's not uncommon for people to say that they feel like, you know, everything that makes them them is gone and that their sense of being is just completely gone and they don't even feel like themselves anymore, which sounds horrible. You know, why would you want to experience that? It's known by a lot of people as the worst drug, period. You know, like why... I can't wrap my head around, you know, why you would do this for fun. I definitely can see an experienced psycho not wanting the experience under their belt, but outside of that, man, I don't do this shit. Now we're going to be switching it up for the next substance a little bit and talking about heroin. Now heroin, I feel like, is pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty much the king of euphoria. I mean, when it comes to heroin, you know, from what I've heard, it's pretty much the highest level of euphoria that you can achieve in this world. Now, it either comes in powder form, which is known as white china, or black tar. Now, obviously, with white china, it being in a powder form, you can snort that and smoke it, and I'm pretty sure you can still inject it. I'm not sure exactly, but I know, like, with black tar, that's specifically for, you know, smoking and injecting. And heroin is derived from the poppy seeds that are grown in many parts of the world. It's, you know, definitely not uncommon. It's definitely not an uncommon thing. And the high of heroin is so incredibly powerful. I mean, I obviously don't know, but from the experiences that I've heard, I mean, it is unbelievable the levels of euphoria and just feel good that you achieve. You know, I've heard a lot that it feels like you're being hugged by God, that you have this sense of, oh, I finally figured it all out. You know, everything's going to be okay. Apparently it kind of gives you this sense of, you know, like, I've got it. You know, like you found the thing that you needed, which is pretty terrifying. And, you know, I felt that to a extremely smaller degree with, you know, Oxycontin and the very few limited opioid experiences that I do have under my belt. But, you know, I can't even imagine having that sense, you know, amplified by how much it does get amplified by heroin. I mean, it takes away all of the pain in your life, you know, not only mentally, but also physically. There's a lot of people that get addicted to heroin simply because, you know, they have a bad back, or, you know, maybe they got into a car accident or something, you know, and they get put on the pain meds, that stops working, so then they move to heroin. And before you know it, they're not even doing heroin to help with their actual, you know, physical ailment. A lot of the times that ailment will be completely gone, and now they're just hopelessly addicted to the mental aspect of it. It a lot of the times leads to people, you know, nodding in and out of consciousness. We've all seen those videos of people, you know, nodding out in public at work and all that shit. And then the withdrawal symptoms are also known for being pretty much the worst imaginable. I mean, it is literally intense physical agony to the point that, you know, I've heard it literally feels like every bone in your body is being crushed all at once. And, you know, it feels like all of your muscles are tearing apart, and that it's just the worst physical pain you can imagine. And then obviously, you know, you have the mental aspect of that too. You know, the just unthinkable depression and helplessness that comes with that, being in that state of mind. You know, it really never made sense to me to even try heroin once, or really even any opioids for that matter, because it seems like the best case scenario, you'll like it a bit and want it a lot more. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, don't try heroin, guys. I mean, you know, my heart goes out to all the people that are hopelessly addicted to that shit. Hopefully you guys can kick that, but man, never start on this shit. And now for the final drug we're going to be talking about in today's video. We are going to be talking about DPH, which is once again another deliriant. Surprise, surprise. Now this is notorious for pretty much being the worst legal high that there is. Now DPH is, you know, it's not even a controlled substance or anything. It's literally, you know, you can buy it over the counter in sleep and allergy medicine. And most commonly when people abuse it, they use Unisom, which is a sleep aid, or they use Benadryl, which is like an allergy aid. And I actually have done DPH in the past, but not to the point that it becomes a deliriant. Because when you take it at a low enough dose, it's just a basic antihistamine. So, you know, it'll help with allergies, help with you falling asleep, that type of stuff. And that's at like, you know, the dose of 25 to 100 milligrams. But once you get to the point of taking, you know, 400 milligrams plus, that's the point where you're going to start getting to the point of it becoming a delirium, and you're literally going to be put into a full-blown, you know, delirium trip. Now, this is very notorious for the intense hallucinations that come with it. Most commonly, spiders. Now, apparently, people see spiders all over the place whenever they're on DPH, which sounds absolutely terrifying. I mean, I'll put up some of the pictures on screen of, you know, what people say it looks like when they're on DPH. I mean, what the fuck? These pictures send shivers down my spine. I can't even imagine looking at the corner of my room and seeing that, you know? A lot of people also see the Hat Man, which is apparently the shadow figure that appears in a hat, you know, and just kind of sits there and watches you. Which, I've never seen the Hat Man, but it's a very common thing that people see, and it's kind of weird that so many people see him. Now, you know, aside from all the hallucinations and shit, it completely destroys your body. Now, when I say that, it does so on pretty much every level possible. It is horrible for your liver and your kidneys. I mean, it makes alcohol look like baby food compared to it. It is basically just speed running organ failure. It also puts holes in your brain, which, you know, nobody really knows the extent of which that happens, but it has been proven that it literally puts holes in your brain. And, you know, in my opinion, worst of all, it has been proven to have a correlation with early onset Alzheimer's and dementia. You know, that's like, I mean, come on, that's a quintet of fuckery. Why are you doing this shit? Don't be doing this. I really can't wrap my head around it. So many, you know, teenagers and not even teenagers, there's a lot of fully grown men that go out and get this drug to try and get high as an escape. And most of the time it leaves, you know, the users just hopelessly addicted and wishing they had never done it in the first place. I have seen a lot of, you know, personal accounts on forums and stuff of people literally saying, I hate this drug with every fiber of my being, and I cannot stand the experience of it, but I cannot stop doing it, and all I want is more. And it's like, what? Now, I can't wrap my head around, you know, being in a situation like that, but that sounds like every day is a living hell, man. Waking up and knowing that you're going to do this to yourself, knowing that you don't want to, but knowing that you have, you know, that pull to do so. That's just a really fucked up situation to be in. And, you know, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, this is one of those drugs that is used as an escape rather than an enjoyable way to get high. Now, that's about all I have for today, guys. If you guys take anything away from this video, just don't fuck with opioids or deliriants, man. I mean, really, I've seen a lot of people fuck around with them, and if you're going to, you're going to. You know, I'm not gonna knock you for trying a bunch of drugs like I did, but it's really not a good idea. It just isn't. With these substances, most of the time you're gonna come out the other end wishing you had never even done it in the first place. But that's about all I have for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy the video, go ahead and drop a like. Comment down below what type of experience that you have with these substances that I did talk about in this video. And if you want to stick around for more, go ahead and subscribe and turn on them post notifications. But thank you for taking the time to check out my video, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.